First of all, congratulations in resurrecting this franchise. You did mention off camera about your affinity towards Canada. What is it about this country that you love so much?
I've just been shooting in Canada for, I guess, it was my commercial career, the last 20 years, and the crews and stuff up here are amazing, and it's a great place to come make a movie.
You put yourself in a position years ago where you were offered to do this and you know the history behind trying to resurrect this franchise. What was the moment that you stopped and said, I've got the confidence to make this happen?
I really think it was when Chris Nolan and I were talking about the idea and just the take that he and David Goyer had come up with for the character. It just was amazing, and I just said, yeah, this could work, this could be cool.
Did you have a moment when you were making this where you stopped and looked around and said, I'm making Superman?
Yeah, a couple times actually, but the first time, Henry was in the suit, and he comes out of the trailer, and you look at him, and you're like, oh, okay, wow, okay, let's put him in front of the camera. But it's pretty cool. If you're a little bit of a dork like I am, it's pretty cool to see him in the Superman costume and just be like, this is awesome. We're gonna film him.
Now, talk about that. The costuming and the attention to detail is phenomenal in this film, and it is for most of your films. But when you had the looks, etc., and you were deciding, did you know right away that that was what you were going with?
Yeah, it took a long time actually, the evolution of the costume, even though it feels a lot like the normal Superman costume. It is incredibly detailed experience to go through the hundreds and hundreds of iterations to get to the one that you really feel like tells a story of the iconographic Superman, but also sort of like a new and kind of interesting take, that makes him kind of fresh.
A phenomenal cast. Was casting a nightmare for you, or did you pinpoint it right away?
It wasn't a nightmare at all. I think I've been blessed with an amazing cast for this film, and everyone, just really occupied the iconography of their character in an amazing way. And Amy Adams, Lois Lane, just like perfect, and and on, and Lawrence Fishburne, Perry White, and the two dads, Kevin and Russell, they're just amazing, and awesome. A lot of weight. Those guys are they're strong, and they it's the kind of thing where they can accept an iconographic role like that, but not get lost in it. Like, they still are powerful in the role, and I think that, yeah, they're really just a blessing to work with those guys. They did a great job.
I feel like there's so much source material leading up to this. Did you have to ignore a lot of it in order to wrap your mind around what your interpretation would be?
That is a tricky part, because there are so many interpretations of Superman, and so we really try to go with classic canon, like what is iconographically Superman, but also respect that, really don't try and mess with the mythology too much. Just make it make sense. And we really just went to what we felt like was the most sort of tried and true Superman mythology.
So much influence right now within the genre of comic book characters, etc. Did you have to shut your mind off to it, or did you use it as inspiration?
You mean as far as just the prevalence of it,
Yeah.
of superheroes in pop culture? Yeah. Superman has his own thing, and when we made the movie, we did try and pretend like, okay, let's pretend no movies have ever been made of Superman. And like, we just found these comics underneath our bed, and we're like, hey, this could be cool. So in that way, we did sort of ignore the pop culture Superman and try to sort of reintroduce that, iconography to, our audience through the movie. But it was a lot of sifting, like, okay, let's try and get like a consistent thematic, version of him. And I think it was fun in the end. You think that it's all these, disparate sources, and you're kind of bringing it all together. But in the end, when you see him, you realize, okay, there was a singular sort of idea, and it does kind of move forward in a cool way. And I think that's what we ended up with our Superman.
Second last question. I have to wonder, as a director, is it daunting, the IMAX and 3D format, when you sort of started out with the vision versus what you've sort of got to accommodate, et cetera? Is it a little bit daunting?
It is a teeny bit daunting, but it's all super fun, to see the movie in IMAX is amazingly fun, because you're just like, wow, even for the filmmaker, like, I've made the movie, I'm living with the movie for a year, and then suddenly to see it in IMAX, you're like, okay, it's like a fresh experience, and maybe that keeps you motivated because you're seeing the movie for the first time sort of again, and that's fun.
Right. You mentioned a symbol of hope, and it's very prevalent in this, and almost very timely. Is that ultimately what Superman means to you?
Yeah, I think that the cool thing about Superman for me is that he holds a mirror up to humanity and sort of says like, I'm not one of you, but I think I can tell your story, and I think that's the fun part about Superman.
Dare I ask what's next?
Don't know. I'm working on. We're finishing the. I was a producer on the 300 sequel, so we're doing the 300 sequel now, and yeah, that's going to keep me a little bit busy for the next couple months. So.